Hello. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Sunday. I hope that you all are having, probably not even going to be anybody on here today. It'll just be maybe a couple. It is Mother's Day. However, it is nap hour in my world, even quiet time for the rest. So I am kind of just floating right now. I just had the best sandwich. It was amazing. I thought I would tell you a little bit about my journey to motherhood because I figured, I don't know, a little more about me, and so you know me, and then you know all the things. Ow, I just kicked something. Anyway, so my husband and I, when we got married, we had decided we were going to wait for a little while because we were engaged. We were actually engaged for 11 months. It was a really long 11 months. And he moved in when we came back from our honeymoon. And, fun fact, maybe this is totally TMI. Never mind. I'll just save that. I won't tell you. I was going to tell you something, but then I'm like, that's kind of weird. Maybe that's too weird. Is that too personal? It's a different story, different day. That's not what we're talking about today. Anyway, when I got home, and I remember saying to him, I have 1 pack of birth control left. Should I be getting more? And his response was, nah, let's just have a baby. And I was like, okay. I mean, I was 29. So it was kind of one of those, like we wanted to have a family. We wanted to, I don't know if we wanted a big, at that time, we had talked about always having lots of children, lots meaning 4. But then, we also didn't know what that actually entailed, because when you're naive and young and in love, you think you can do all the things. So, so that was January, because we got married in November. So it was like January, and we were like, okay, or no, it was December. And we were like, let's just give it a go. And lo and behold, it did work for almost a year. Nothing worked. We never went anywhere. We never tried anything. But I thought I was doing all the things right to make babies, and what did I know? I did have I will tell you, I had some anxiety because I had a little bout with cervical cancer in 2007, and when they removed part of it from my cervix, I was nervous because that was one of the symptoms that would be that you would not potentially be able to have children. So I didn't know, you just don't know these things. So we didn't do anything. I at the time worked for my church, and I remember going to this staff meeting, and this guy named George was talking to us that day in staff meeting, and he was always out in the missions, and he was doing things. And I never really saw myself as like a missionary. Just not much of that. I don't know, just not because I don't love or have a heart for it. It's more just, I don't know, it never was something that was pressed upon me to do. And that day in staff meeting, it was so like I had to go abroad. I needed to go and serve in Africa or somewhere and bring some love. And really what the compounding thought was, break my heart for what breaks yours, was really what it was, and which is such an interesting thought going into the trip, but that's really what I was kind of going for. And so here I am, newly married, and my husband and I were trying to have a baby, and at that point it was like, well, you now need shots for like everything under the sun, so at this point you kind of, you probably shouldn't try. So we didn't really give it any two thoughts. We were going to after this, so the trip that I ended up leading was to Uganda, and it was in June. Yeah, it was in June. And so I decided this in May. So the detail that went into me going to Uganda in June was nuts. I mean, besides the shots and the fundraising and all the jazz. But anyway, I went to Africa, and God absolutely broke my heart for what broke his. But I was part of something there that is thriving and flourishing. We started we visited a property that is now called Timothy's House, and Timothy's House is an orphanage for and a school for just hundreds of little kids. And I ended up we fund a couple of them. I fell in love with a little girl named Regina, and I was part of them. I just got to see part miracles be it was just amazing. It really was an experience of a lifetime, heart-wrenching, but so necessary. So here I am newly married. I just basically left my husband, who I had finally was with, and now I'm in Africa. So I was there for 2 weeks, and it was unreal. It was just the best time, best in good and bad, but it set me up for what the heartbeat for motherhood that I don't think I realized, like falling in love with another human being, that is, that isn't even necessarily mine, but just the innocence of a child. And I don't think I've really had that. My brother is 5 years younger than I am. So I'm sure when I was younger, I don't really remember, but I'm sure I was very much a mommy to him because he came along when I was 5, just like my daughter is to my son. The baby, all of them, let's be real. Anyway, so I got back, and still wasn't happening, and we decided to fast. We had a couple things kind of with our jobs, and at the time we had a guy living on our little couch thing, and so we were like, something's got to give. And so we decided to fast these 3 things, and the job thing, making a baby, and this guy on our couch. And while we were doing that, I think I fasted sugar, and my husband TV, and my husband fasted alcohol. And during that time we read the book 40 Days to a Joy-Filled Life, which is now a book that I read once a year. I give it to everybody under the sun because it is such a phenomenal book, and it just speaks joy into your life like you can't even imagine. So we read that book together every day, and we fasted these 3 things. And I think within 14 days of the fast, we were pregnant. The guy was leaving our couch, and the breakthroughs that with our jobs, they came through, and I was pregnant. And I remember deciding we wanted to go home with news of whatever we were having. So we went to one of those ultra 3D places, and they told us we were having a boy. And so his name was Carter James Jensen in our brain. And so we came home, and we told my dad, his name's gonna be Carter James Jensen. And anyway, clearly Carter was not a Carter. He was an Avery. And so she still remains Avery James. Why did we stick with his name? I don't know. We have, Carter's my dad, Carter Robert, and Hudson is my father-in-law, Hudson William. And then Brooks is actually my grandpa. They share the same birthday, and he was born on his 90th birthday. And he is Brooks Phillip. So those are the 3 middle names, just in case you were ever curious where those came from. I have no idea where Avery came from. Lila was always my name, but then for some reason Lila just didn't stick, and we both loved Avery. I don't go with meanings as to why, meanings behind first names, because Avery is actually a leader of the elves, which is actually quite fitting considering she's basically the leader of the elves, which are all of my children. So that is how I came to be a mom. We went through, I understand the hardship of trying and not succeeding, and month after month taking pregnancy test after pregnancy test. It's not something that it's hurtful. it's hard and it hurts and it's challenging, and I'm sure there are so many of you in that right now. I walked alongside lots of women. I think one of the hardest parts about being pregnant is walking alongside of some of your best friends who can't. That's something you don't really know that you're going to do in life, and you do. And but there's hope on the other side, and I've since then seen miracles, and I've seen IVF work, and I've seen all different things work for different people. But it is definitely a harder part of what I don't think they tell you about when it comes to the making children process. Aside from that, what else do I? So 7 months later, I was exhausted, and I was tired, and I was burnt out. And I remember I was making green beans, and my husband came down in the morning, and he was like, "Are you eating green beans for breakfast?" And I was like, "Yeah, they just sounded really good." And as I was saying, "That sounds really good," I was like, "That's pretty weird." So anyway, on my way home from work that day, I grabbed a pregnancy test, and mind you, Avery was only 7 months at this time, and I went and took that pregnancy test, and sure enough, it was very much pregnant. So we got an appointment pretty quick, and I remember them saying, like, it's likely that you're barely probably hearing a heartbeat, or I never got a period, I was still breastfeeding, so I was doing all those things that they say work, yet they don't. So if you're using breastfeeding as a means of birth control, that is not effective. Anyway, so when I went in, she was like, "Oh, you're probably not going to see much." And actually I think she did the inside wand, and there was like a massive baby, and I was actually already 10 weeks along. So yay, surprise. You know what? As much as it's been like the wildest ride, they're thick as thieves, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love how close they are. It made Carter a really strong, strong leader with like this sensitive side, because he has this older sister. He's a really cool kid. Anyway, and then I actually miscarried in between Carter and Hudson. And without going into details, that was one of the harder things I have dealt with. Not even necessarily, the mental part I can handle. The physical part of it was probably the more emotional thing for me. I don't know that anybody can really, I happen to be someone who waited. I didn't have a D&C or take a pill or anything like that. They said, just wait. And the waiting was like forever. And the waiting to pass your child is something I don't know that any human being should ever have to go through. And I know that is a very real thing for so many women. They say that 1 in 3 women will have a miscarriage, which is basically, 1 in 3, that's like nothing. So I'm bringing down the mood, but I was just telling you all my birth stories. Maybe one day I'll actually save you why I ended up with a C-section, and which began the whole C-section, and then Carter and trying to birth him as a VBAC. And but anyway, so Hudsie is my rainbow baby, which is very suiting for him, because he is a storm, and then he is the rainbow for sure. So he came shortly thereafter, and then, oh, that's okay, Paula. And then Brooks was a surprise. So that's sort of the series of events of me becoming a mom in a very short amount of time. My husband and I will be 8 years in November, and our kids are 5, 4, 2, and 5 months. So actually the boys are all having their half birthdays. Hudsie will be 2.5, Carter will be 4.5, and Brooks will be 6 months. So this month. So that's kind of exciting, and will be 7.5 years. So it makes it really easy to remember. Anyway, that is my story. I don't know that I thought I was cut out for motherhood, to be totally real. I didn't really have a lot of kids, or I didn't really have a lot of like small children in my life, and I didn't even really know how to how like you do these things. And so I will tell you that I am an avid learner as to motherhood. I listen to something that teaches me about how to be a great mom and how to instill values into their life, how to create nice marriageable humans, every day. That is my number one study in my life, is how to just continue to learn and be. It's not that I need to be the best mom, but I want to be the best mom that I am capable of being. And I know that part of that means learning and changing and becoming more, a lot of things, patient and kind and joyful and loving and faithful and setting a good example every opportunity I get. So that's me in a nutshell with all my monkeys. When I was 12 years old, I used to play house with my best friend Laura, and unfortunately for the years of between 5th grade and like 8th grade, who the husband was just whoever was the cream of the crop at the time. And anyway, I always had 4 kids, and Carter was always a kid in my like things. I actually always had 3 boys and 1 girl. The difference was I had a boy first, and then I had the 2 twin boys. I don't know why I was gonna have twins, and then I had a little girl, and so that has been what I've been practicing since I was in 5th grade, and here we are, and it is my life. So that's it. That's me. I hope that you got to know me a little bit better today, and I will share lots of other stories. Someone the other day asked, like, can you just tell us more like about you? And so here I am. That is me. That is my journey to motherhood, and now I'm in one of the most challenging and fulfilling roles of my life, and I am forever grateful that God entrusted me with these 4 little humans. So for those of you who are joyful today and being loved on, I hope that continues. I hope that your toddlers are kind. For those of you that are yearning and wanting a baby, stay faithful and continue to just find the joy in what you have now, and be grateful for everything that is right in front of you. And for those of you who have had loss, and this day is of sad, I just know that I'm praying for you. Even though I don't know you, God does, and He knows your heart, and He knows the brokenness that comes with that. And just, you're not alone. You're not alone at all. So thanks for listening. Have a great day, and see you later. Mm-hmm.